So there's some familiar faces. Who has either seen me or this is the first time that you've heard me speak?
I've seen you.
Or the first time you heard me speak? Okay, that's kind of a joke to see if you guys are paying attention, because that should be everybody, right? So for those of you that have heard me speak before, that I have just changed this entire talk, hopefully make it more impactful. Takes me being more vulnerable, so I know it takes you vulnerability in your life as well, so I want to be able to kind of connect on that level. So I want to share kind of my story a little bit, and then we're going to go through some tactics that hopefully make sense, and that are very simple, but hopefully change or keep you on. If you're on a great track, then great. If you're on maybe not the track that you want to be on, help you kind of get back on the track that you want to be on. So I'm going to tell you a story of when I hit rock bottom. So February 15th, 2013, I was at my house. I 2 houses ago here in Parker. I had gone through my divorce went final on 12/12/12, which of course has to be the most memorable day that I've ever lived, with all the same numbers. So about 3 months after that was this day. And I had started business, 5 or 6 businesses the previous 3 or 4 years, and none of them were successful. So going through my divorce, I had really no consistent income. I had a 2-year-old son that is my life, and just it was one of those times when like everything seemed to be going wrong. So can you guys relate with that? Like just seemed like no matter what you did, it went wrong. So no matter what I did business-wise, no matter what I did marketing for my business, for my own personal life, trying to stay in shape, trying to eat better, because all that takes more money, trying to weigh what I spend my money on, and really it's not even my money at that point. So luckily I had good credit, so I had a lot of credit cards, but it allowed me to rack up about $80,000 in debt in the first 2 years after my divorce, and just gave me this huge pit that I had to dig out of. So the thing that was going wrong at the time was the property I lived on, we had a well, so we had well water. So one day the water just didn't come out of the faucet. And so of course I had that moment where like, what could it be now? And so I had it checked out in the well pump, so that pumps the water up out of the ground and then into a holding tank, and then into the system of the house, went bad. So my well was about 310 feet deep, so it was not an inexpensive thing. So there's a whole system and apparatus that the company had to come out and pull up the pump, verify that it was bad, and then they replaced it. That alone cost about $3,500, which again, I did not have the money for it. So luckily I had enough room on one of my credit cards, and I was able to pay for it, because you can't really go without water. And I can't provide for my son if he can't even bathe or like drink water or for cooking or anything. So obviously an important thing. And so I was sitting in my office, right, just gone out, talked to the company. They showed me the pump, they showed me that it was bad. They said they'll get the new one in and they should be done that day. So trying to maintain a positive mindset, going on YouTube, listening to motivational speakers that I listened to that kind of got me through some tough times. Trying to get my head straight, but just knowing that if something doesn't change soon, I could lose my house. If I lose my house, I probably lose custody of my son for the 50% that I had, and just my mind just going down a negative place. So I'm sitting in my office, again, L-shaped desk. I've got 3 picture windows right here that face the front door, and I just spoke to the company, and the guy came walking around and walking up to the front door, and I just of course thought, like, what else could it be now? And so he knocked on the door. I walked around through the living room, opened the door, talked to him, and he just had this look on his face of bad news. And so my heart just like sunk of what else could it be. And so he said that this well is original. The well pump was original back to 1968, 69, whatever it was. And he said that back then, the wire that they used, because there had to be wire that went from my electrical panel all the way across to the well head and down 310 feet down to the well pump, because if it doesn't have electricity, it doesn't work. So there's a wire that goes down as well. And he said that unfortunately, back in the late 60s, they used a specific type of wiring And it's a pretty heavy gauge wire, so more material, more expensive. But he said that this specific type of wiring has been known to be faulty. And he said that it's kind of the worst kind of faulty because the coating around the wire starts to disintegrate and absorbs water. So water and electricity, not a good thing to have together, right? And that would eventually short out the motor or the well pump, and then I'd have to replace it again, maybe another $3,500 to replace that. So he said I highly recommend at least replacing the bottom 200 feet that could potentially be in water. And so, of course, my question was, how much is it going to be? And he said it's going to be another $2,500. And luckily, you know, looking at my credit card, that I had that room to put the $2,500 onto it. And so I said, I can't pay for you to come back and go through all the work to replace that line if it does short out or replace the pump again. So I said, yeah, I guess go ahead and do it. I really had no choice. And so he left, went to the store to go get the 200 feet of wiring to that section replaced, and I went back, sat down at my desk, and I'll never forget, sat down at my desk and like just started weeping, like had my head in my hands. And I'm not like a crier, like watching The Notebook, it doesn't make me cry, but just when everything seems to be going against you, it's hard to find that positivity. It's hard to find, like, see where you're going or where you could possibly go. It's hard to look past the next minute or two. So the first time that I completely lost it in my life was when my grandpa passed away. I was very close with him, and he passed away in August of 2010. And that came out of nowhere, but just lost it. And then this time, just sitting there, feeling completely hopeless and thinking, like, what's the point in this? What's the point in fighting this? Like, this struggle, it's exhausting. It's the worst mental place that I've ever been. It's a very dark place. And even started having thoughts of, like, what if I just ended it now? So thinking of my family, like, I'm close to my family, they all live back in Minnesota, but like, if I just took my own life at that point, would it just be easier? Would it be easier, like, I'm not good enough for my son, I'm not good enough for my family, I'm not good enough for myself, like, just nothing is working, no matter how hard I push. And then thinking of my son, you know, what would that look like for him to grow up without a father and, like, have to live with this, knowing that his father took his own life, and because it's so extremely selfish. But I was thinking, like, at that point, would it be better if he was just with his mom? So she was dating a guy, they're, you know, married now, so they had a good family. So I thought, you know, why go through the struggle? But then thinking of my son, I just, you know, my eyes were closed and I saw him in my mind. So his blonde hair, blue eyes, his smile. And I just, like, right then, I realized that this cannot be my story. I'm not going to be defined by all these things that go wrong. Like, I have to define myself in a positive way and be an example for not only my son, but my community, my family. So right then was a huge moment in my life, because I realized that when I do things for myself, I fail. Like, I can never have full success and purpose when I only do things for myself. And when you have something bigger and outside of yourself of why you do what you do, nothing can stop you. Nothing can. So this is 6 years later, 6.5 years later, and I turn around my company, I've got employees, my son, the most important thing, he's happy, he's healthy. But now, because I went through all of that, I can now give that knowledge to him and motivate him and inspire him to figure out why, and he's only 9 now, but why you do what you do, and to kind of have that story. So that's what I want to share with you guys today is, once you find your why, nothing will get in your way. If you do things for yourself, life is going to be tough. Life is going to be very difficult. So, because you have nothing that's going to pull you over those obstacles, and everything is relative. So if you guys have been through some hard times in your life, congratulations. It's amazing. I wish that nothing ever would happen to anybody in the world that's just who I am. I don't want people to suffer, but through that suffering, you become resilient. So I really didn't have anything hard to go through until my mid-20s. So, but everything is relative. So when, I don't know, a package was delivered and whatever was in it was broken, like that could be a hard day. Now, after going through all of those tough times, like I'm a real estate investor, so if I have a property that has water damage and there's $30,000 in damage, like it's terrible. It hurts significantly in the business, but in the grand scheme of things, like it's not that big of a deal. So now that I'm doing things not just for my son, but I've taken time, I've had some amazing friends that help me work through it. But my why now includes my son, but it's to live my ultimate potential while helping others reach theirs as well. So now, like, I wake up knowing that, so I can come in here with energy and just give whatever I can to you guys. So be vulnerable, share my story, share these things that I've learned, and just hopefully make the world a better place than I found it. So I'm gonna go through some of these tactics. If you guys have any questions at the end, I'll make sure that there's a little bit of time for questions. So it's funny, everything that we do in life, everything that you're doing even right now, what you're thinking of, my story, of what you guys have going on today, whatever it could be, there's 6 reasons why we do it. So there's 6 human needs. So the first one is significance. Second one is certainty. Third one is uncertainty. The next one is love and connection. The 5th is growth. And the last one is contribution. So these top 4 are basic human needs. So not everybody necessarily does something to grow or to contribute. Because we all know those people that they're very selfish, they're all about themselves, they don't really contribute anything to anyone else. So that they're probably more significance driven. So as we go through today, and if you guys want to write these down, it's fascinating. I mean, it's become a game for me when I'm watching a movie, when I'm at my Rotary Club meetings, when I'm meeting with my staff. So why anybody does anything is because of these. So we can go through a couple of examples. So when you're in school, maybe in a hallway, I know when I was in high school this happened a few times, but there'd be a fight. So 2 guys would start throwing punches, and they maybe find out afterwards that this guy called this other kid a stupid head. I mean, essentially it breaks down to like that silly, like you're a stupid head. They probably use other choice words, but essentially that's what it is. So if someone calls me a stupid head, and I'm significance driven, like I need to defend myself, I need to make sure that I look good to everyone else, that I'm not just a punk, that I would start fighting him because of my significance. So with certainty, who used an alarm clock in the morning? Or an opportunity clock. I prefer calling it an opportunity clock. So when you set the alarm clock, why do you do it? So that you know what time you're gonna wake up in the morning, right? So we do that because we want to be certain. Imagine, like, have you guys had that time when you forget to set your alarm clock and you wake up and it's like 5 minutes past the time of you be able to be on time to anything? That is when you feel uncertainty. So you're like, what happened, right? And love and connection, everybody knows what a gang is, right? Gangs are all about significance, love and connection, certainty. So some things that you do can hit all of these, or maybe just a couple of them. So if someone joins a gang, maybe his dad isn't at home, his mom was working 3 jobs, he doesn't have, maybe he's the youngest of 5 brothers and his other 4 brothers pick on him. But if he can join the gang, he creates kind of his new family. And he does it because he needs connection. Because if we don't have connection, going back to one more caveman, if we don't have connection, if we don't have love, if we don't have our community, we die. So our brain is 2 billion years old, and we still think on that basic of a level. All these things are extremely basic. We try to make things more complicated, probably to try to feel more significant, but really life is super simple. It's really not that complicated, and that's why I want to share this stuff with you guys. Because it's easy to get stuck in this repeating kind of pattern in your head of that I'm not good enough, school's not good enough, I'm stupid, and all these negative things, when really it's just overthinking things. So, growth. I read a lot of books, listen to a lot of books. So the one that I'm listening to right now and reading is called Think and Grow Rich. It was published in 1939, it's an amazing book. But I read that because I have a need for growth. Because I can only give what I have. And so if I never educate myself, I won't be able to stand here and speak to you guys. So I love giving to my kids, to my Rotary family, to you guys, to other schools I speak to. So that's why I do this in contribution. When I'm here, I hope that I'm contributing to your life. I'm hoping that you guys don't think this is a complete waste of time. So an interesting thing is that if something that you do consistently hits at least 3 of these, it will become a habit.
Yeah.
So if we do drugs, do we know what that feeling's gonna be like? Certainty. If you're doing drugs with your friends, significance, like I'm cool because I'm doing the drugs, and I've got love and connection because my other friends are doing it. So I feel like I'm with someone else, like I'm getting that connection. So drugs, and there's probably some uncertainty of like, am I gonna get caught or not? So it hits on all 4 of those. That's why it's so addicting. Right, it's a substance, but also these 4 things of why it's so addicting and why it's hard to get away from. Because if you associate love and connection with a drug, it's gonna be hard to break unless you find a better way, a positive way to get that love and connection. Does that make sense? So again, it's not that complicated. Like these drugs don't have us, right? If we replace these needs in a positive way, then we'll concentrate on that stuff and we won't have to necessarily concentrate on drugs. Or skipping school. Like I mentor a kid, he's a junior now, so it's been 5.5 years I've mentored him. He's a phenomenal kid. But last year, I had a few kids that he was hanging out with, and they decided they were gonna skip school. And so his grades went from, he was like B pluses, A minuses, wanted to go to Duke. He's playing in a developmental league for soccer, so he wants to play like D1 soccer. But started hanging out with the wrong kids, wanted to win their approval, love and connection, started skipping school. He had like 2 or 3 C's last year, 4 C's and B's. He only had a couple A's. Hurt his grade point average. So now this year, next year, luckily he's extremely smart, but he's doing AP classes because AP classes is on a higher scale, so you can raise your GPA to be able to get into the school. So just from that 1 year, being around the wrong people, needing that loving connection, he almost threw away his chance for his dream because a few kids thought it would be cool to skip school. So, but it's just connecting these. The most amazing thing for me is that all 6 of these, you can hit all 6 of these with what device? Your phone. So people don't think of phones or electronics as something you can be addicted to, but it is the most, I personally think, it is the most addictive thing in our society. Over any drug, anything, it is the most addictive thing. It's significance. If you're on Facebook and you call out someone for being a punk or whatever, or make up a lie about them, or spread a rumor, you got significance over that. And like, another good example is if you're walking down an alley and someone comes up behind you and has a gun, who's the most significant person in your world at that point?
That person.
That person, right? Because they can end your life. So, in a way, it's kind of similar, but if you go on Facebook and start a rumor, you have significance over them. Certainty, like you know you have apps on your phone, so you can go if you need to know the capital of Zimbabwe, like you know you can go on your phone and find it. So it's never like in the last 10, 15 years. Before then, that wasn't possible. Like my grandparents had 2 bookshelves of Encyclopedia Britannicas. They were each this thick. There's like 40 books, and you had to search through all of it. Now we have Siri. It's an amazing thing. So I'm not poo-pooing it, but it's an amazing thing. Uncertainty, you have in your pocket, and you're like, is someone gonna text me? Is someone not gonna text me? And all of a sudden your phone vibrates or dings or whatever you have it set on, and then you're like, oh, awesome, someone texted me. And when someone texts you, it's like, oh, someone wanted to connect with me, phone connection. In growth, I listen to my audiobooks through my phone. So the audiobook I'm listening to now, Think and Grow Rich, is through Audible. So it's on my phone. And then contribution, I'm a part of several different groups, business groups on Facebook, and I've got 4 accountability partners just in one of the groups. And so I can send them messages I can send text messages through Facebook, I can post an inspiring quote and tag them in it and tell them how much I appreciate them, that I can contribute to their life. Like I'm recording this now, so I can spread it hopefully across the United States so other kids and other people can maybe grab onto this that have struggled. Because did you guys know that the suicide rate in Colorado is twice the national average? Is that insane? Frankly, it pisses me off. Like I grew up in Minnesota. The last winter that I was there, we went 32 straight days without sun. And 2 weeks of it, it never got above 0. It's miserable. I moved here, and like looking at the forecast, I've never seen a forecast here that made me depressed. Like there's sun, especially in the winter, and like it's warmer. It's amazing. I golf, and so it's not a good place to golf. The season's like 5 months long. Here, like you can golf every month if you want to. So I find this fascinating. It just gives me a lot of certainty as to why we do what we do. Like things don't have to be that complicated. Again, we try and complicate things from time to time to make ourselves feel more significant that something is really complicated, when really it's not that complicated. There's answers out there. Let's really think about it. So then, this thing, we have about perspective. Alright, so when this box is drawn, and this I got from Zig Ziglar, but most people, if I say how many boxes do you see, most people say 16. Right? Because the simple answer, like, at face value, looking at it, there's 16 boxes. But there's 16, but then there's another one here, a 4, the whole side. There's one here, one here. There ends up being 30 boxes. So that's why, the big reason why I speak is because when you look at yourself in the mirror, when maybe people in your life look at you in the mirror, or look at you, they may see, yeah, that's just 16 boxes. Maybe you don't have people in your life that think highly of you, or think that you have the potential to do whatever you want in life, to have purpose, and to be successful. But I'm here to say, like, I am an introvert. I never thought I'd speak in public, and now I speak 20 times a year in public. And like, I have more head trash. It's not a competition, but I've got a ton of head trash. I struggle with self-image. I struggle with confidence. But I have to realize that if I think these negative things about myself, or if I take someone else, if they say that I'm a stupid head, and I'm like, yeah, my brain, like seek and ye shall find, my brain will go through and find every time that I was an idiot, or I did something stupid. That's just kind of how we work. So what you concentrate on expands. So if you think, you know what, that guy, it's not the truth. Like, I know that I'm not a stupid head. Like, I've done a lot of education stuff, I've built my business, so start looking at reinforcing of how I'm not that. But that's kind of what this is. Because if you just take it for face value, like you're a stupid, okay, yeah, here's 16 reasons why. But if I look at it and find all the reasons, what is truly there, then it changes the game. Because when you start building your own self-image and self-confidence, it doesn't matter what anyone else says. Like I have my core values, I have my big why. So when someone calls me a stupid head, or whatever they would call me, I don't care. Like I know me, I know what I stand for, and I act in accordance with what I stand for. So I don't really care what anyone else thinks about me. So it's a great place to be. So not just being overly confident and insecure, but truly confident. You're still fighting. We're always, for me at least, I'm always going to be, fighting little things in my head and questioning myself. But when you look at yourself in the mirror, just know that there's more there than what meets the eye. So there's a ton more there, and give yourself some credit. So, and then this one is, I believe, is what's more on that you'll be tested on. So it's called the be, do, have principle. So I know a couple of you have heard this from a previous talk. All right, so we're gonna go through two sides of it. So the left side, we'll call this scarcity. And side abundance. So who can tell me what scarcity means? Yeah.
Like less than or not much.
Okay. Yeah. So a scarcity mindset is someone who, thinks that there's a lack in the world, or it doesn't think that maybe more of a negative mindset. So someone's scarcity and they go to apply for a job, chances are they won't even apply for the job, or if they do, they're like, I'm not gonna get it. So more negative thinking. Abundance mindset is what? Yeah.
Like a big amount, so like everything you try and think you're gonna succeed in.
Yep, good. Yeah, mindset is that there's plenty. Like, I catch myself, and maybe you guys are aware of this or not, there's a thing called quantitative easing. It's a big phrase for printing money. So I have money head trash, just grew up in the Midwest. I don't know why, I'm working through it. So at times I'll get into scarcity mindset about money, but then I think back to quantitative easing. There's 1, 2, and infinite that happened in like 2010, 2012, 2014. There's a few different things where they printed billions of dollars. Like the government just printed billions of dollars and put it into the economy. Like if they have printed like billions of dollars and now they don't print anything, they just like press a button and everything's electronic, so it just like puts a ton more money into the economy. But if they can just print billions of dollars, is there really a lack of money? I mean, the lack is not in the money, the lack is in my mind at that point. So I catch myself sometimes. It's like there's an abundance of money out there, and they're just waiting for people with good ideas or that work hard to get the money. Like there's more millionaires that are under the age of 18 now than ever. Like there's more resources now than ever.
Sounds fun.
So I like to work backwards on these. I think it makes more sense. So someone with a scarcity mindset will concentrate on, I don't know, 4 or 5 different things. So if we look at like a job. So imagine this is someone old enough to have a job, or if you don't look at them as an adult, whatever you want to do. So if you look at them work-wise, what kind of job do you think they have?
Probably like an office job.
Maybe an office job. What about, I guess, income-wise?
Low.
So do you think the low income? Okay. And so I also want to preface this with, we're going complete opposites. So there's probably no one in the world that fits exactly this, and no one in the world that fits exactly this. There's this gray area in between, and that's where people live. So we're using this as like the furthest left, more like scarcity person ever. So just stick with me. So low income. Okay, what about like transportation?
Bike or like a bus, cause they don't have a car.
Okay, bike or bus. Okay. What about their housing?
Probably a small apartment.
In a small apartment? Okay. What about their relationships? So their family, they have kids, significant other. What do you think that relationship looks like?
Maybe a little stressful.
Maybe stressful?
Maybe non-existent.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else you guys wanna add on to what they have? Do you think that they have, like significance or purpose?
Yeah, well, they might not think so.
Yeah,
but
they don't think so.
Okay, so maybe
They have
they
a
have
poor mindset.
okay, poor mindset. Okay, so the way that I like to kind of look at this and kind of putting all these into one is it just in general they have less options. Does that make sense? Okay, so what do they have to do, so actions wise, what do they have to do in order to have low income? So do you think when they're, yeah, go ahead.
Blame everyone else for their problems.
Okay, yeah. Okay, do you think that they, like do personal growth? Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I was gonna say like they do the minimal for everything, cause they think that like their life is so bad, so instead of like trying, they just do the minimal.
Yeah, 'cause you know you're not gonna get the job, why apply for it? Or why apply for a better job? So what do they have to do? I mean, those both kind of go into it, but what do they have to do, for like transportation? So do you think that they watch YouTube videos on engine repair so they could possibly buy a cheap car and be able to maintain it? Like, so, okay, so, education wise, do you think they're doing anything over and above education wise?
Probably not.
Okay, so kind of minimum,
I mean, if they're doing the minimum, they're probably not putting any effort into anything else.
okay? So what are they doing if they have non-existent or stressed relationships?
Not giving much thought into them, or like not caring what they think,
Okay,
or maybe like fighting help from others.
sorry, you have one? Okay, so not contributing. Okay. What are they doing in order to have a poor mindset? So, I mean, yeah, same thing, education wise.
They aren't really trying to get better.
Okay, yeah. Okay, and who do they have to be as a person to blame, for their problems?
pessimistic.
What else?
Not very confident.
Okay. What else? Okay. So, having are they, let's put up here, so pessimistic or negative? What else would they be? Think they're selfless, selfish,
Selfish.
selfish? Yeah,
Maybe they'll self-pity themselves.
okay, so do you? Yeah. What else? Think they're kind? Or not kind?
Probably not very kind.
Okay. We think about this person at work. So if they're working at a fast food restaurant, maybe an office job, whatever it may be, when they're walking around, how would you describe them?
Not really caring about what they do, like they'll do the bare minimum. Like,
Lackadaisical.
or like they'll just walk around sighing and being bored,
Okay.
not trying.
Be bored. Okay. Anything else on that? So it's paint a pretty clear picture of who this person is. And does it make sense that if they are, this is a person, that these are the things they do, and if they do these things, then this is what they have? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not very fun to go through that. So let's go to the abundant side. So what would they have income-wise?
Big racks.
Okay. So higher income. Okay, what about transportation?
They got a
Lambo. Dude's got a Lambo.
Okay. Okay, what about the house or their
Mansion.
living situation?
He lives in the hills.
Lives,
Big boy mansion.
so mansion maybe?
Yeah.
No, look, Manuel Sanders was getting stoned, baby.
What about relationships?
Oh, they're married for like 30 years.
Oh yeah.
But maybe the relationships are also kind of fake.
And maybe his wife's a gold digger.
Well, if they're abundance mindset, and we'll get into that being, well, let's address it now. So as far as fake relationships, do you think that this abundance person is selfless or selfish?
Selfless.
Selfless.
I don't know, a lot of rich people tend to be kind of both.
That is.
Yeah, this is like how they should be.
That is
Oh.
So they-
Not how society
a
actually.
type of people.
Oh.
Yeah, because I know some extremely wealthy people that are not good people, like they'd sell their kid for the right price. So I know abundance is not money. Money is like the last thing on abundance. So like physical health means more than money. Obviously, money is a means to some of these things. But do you think they're also selfish?
Yeah.
In what way?
In a way, like they're only worried about getting the money. They don't care about their relationships.
Not the abundance mindset person.
Oh,
So
the
someone
other
that's
dude?
money driven.
The other dude.
So, yeah,
They
dude.
better themselves, I guess. Like they'll
Okay.
No, they do better for society.
So with the example I use with Francisco, the kid that I mentor, last year, started hanging out with a couple of kids that were not making great decisions. Being selfless, so thinking of them first, didn't really serve him very well. So he had to become selfish with his time, right? So like before I realized that I was an entrepreneur, I would hang out with, I've always had a lot of friends, so I've been blessed that way. But a lot of my friends were not necessarily, they weren't bad people, but they weren't on the track that I was going. And so especially with my personality, it was hard at times because I had to distance myself from them because they were not pushing me forward and they weren't willing to be pushed forward.
Yeah, they wouldn't even accept help.
Yeah, so they had some of these traits. And so there's a lot of times when, if you want to really get to where you want to go, you have to be selfish with your time and make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people that are going in the same direction as you or are there, like having mentors. So as far as the relationships, if they're surrounded by people that are using them for money, or they're shallow relationships, this person is kicking those people to the curb because they don't have time for fake relationships. Does that make sense? Okay, what about their mindset?
They probably have like,
Driven.
I don't want to say poor, but I don't want to say like it's a good one.
Well, this is again.
You don't think they have a good
not
mindset?
That's not really what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Like, yeah, probably. I mean,
Okay, like abundant mindset, but like a rich mindset.
yeah.
And again, this has very little to actually do with money. So the income is really the only thing that we emphasize with money.
That's because society puts it that way, but like how it should be is that they should be good people. And that, yeah, they should be driven and motivated to do what's best for their communities, not just themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's definitely times when I've had to pull back from volunteering and that stuff to take care of myself, my business, my son, because you can only give what you have. And so if I give everything away and I work just enough to like barely get by, then it's not just like the best for everybody, but if I can have a successful business and have good investments to where I know that I'm taken care of, my family's taken care of, then when I'm here, I'm not thinking about how am I gonna pay my bills next month. I'm here, present with you guys and giving you everything that I can give you. Alright, what about self-esteem? Okay. Or it's like confidence. Okay, so what do they have to do to have higher income?
Work harder.
They have to work hard.
Go
I'm a
ahead.
rich dad.
What's that?
I'm a
Trust
rich dad.
fund?
I mean, that could work.
It can work. And that's one thing that I'm fascinated with, is that you can have two people, the exact same opportunity, and one person will be an amazing success and be a wonderful person, and the other person can be a terrible person. So where you start does not define where you end. Okay? So work hard and smart. Because just if you're a day laborer, you make maybe $300 a day. But if you can work smart and be the person that is in charge of 50 day laborers, you make a lot more, right? As far as money goes, and just the impact that you can have. So what about, what did you do in order to have a Lamborghini?
Oh,
Get an education.
Good, to educate themselves. Okay. They have a mansion. I mean, a lot of these things are kind of tied to money. But it's who that be, or what that do, really is around kind of job.
I
Yeah, I
think
feel like it
they,
shouldn't be.
I think they stopped blaming other things and took initiative to fix things.
Okay, good, took initiative and like
I
responsibility.
can answer this question, so I'm gonna give an answer.
Okay. And what I do to have a rich mindset, or well, relationships. To have a lot of relationships, or hopefully deeper, meaningful, authentic relationships. Okay, be kind. Okay. What else would they, what would they have to do?
Be honest.
Okay, be honest. Do you think that they're thinking of themselves, and we kind of went through this, but thinking of themselves first, or thinking about the other person, their friends first, their relationships first?
Then
It should be the other person, but again, society takes that differently.
Unfortunately, there's a, you guys heard of Zig Ziglar? Zig Ziglar?
Yeah.
So he passed away in 2018. I think he's 82 or 84. But a phenomenal man. One of my mentors is actually the president of the Ziglar company for 8 years. So, one thing that Zig says, and it's funny, my kids are repeating it now. But if you get enough people to where they want to go, you'll get to where you want to go. It's kind of that mindset. So, how many people here like assumptions, like making assumptions?
The four agreements, is that what you're talking about?
No, this is, I mean, it's probably similar, but not necessarily from that, but just assumptions. I don't know if I can, yeah? So where like you're guessing at what someone else is thinking or what someone else wants?
Well, I think it, but I don't say it all the time. Like,
Okay.
I definitely, like, first impressions and all that, you definitely like assume a lot.
Yeah, like what someone's wearing,
Yeah.
or what their hair is, or what they're driving, like, yeah. So how many times are they exactly perfect and spot on?
0.
Never, yeah. There's a saying, so assumption makes a butt out of you and me. So assumptions are terrible, because we can ask questions, right? Like clarifying questions. So I've been talking to my kids about this, and just on Saturday, I sat down with them, and so meeting with one of my mentors a couple weeks ago, he said something that he's like, we try and ask in any situation, what does success look like to you? So with the kids, I thought I'd try it. So it's Saturday morning, and so I asked each one of them, what if today was successful? If you saw today successful, what would that look like? And they all said, be able to play with each other. One of them said to play football as a family, and the other two said to be able to have time to relax and read. So like, I don't need to make an assumption. I know exactly what would make that day successful for them. And isn't that a lot easier? That's a ton easier. So talk to my staff, my employees, like what does success look like to you in this business? Because I have what I think is successful, but if I think success for my business is you working 100 hours a week, and I assume that that's success for them too, because that's my opinion, how do you think that would end? Probably
With a
not.
lot of people quitting.
Probably not very good, yeah. But if I know what someone's expectations are and what would be successful for them, then I can line it up with what would be successful for me, make it a win-win, and just take a lot of the guessing out of life in general. So like, that would be a great thing to do with your parents, because how many times do you get in arguments with your parents? I know I did when I was growing up, but I always thought from my perspective what I wanted, and he wasn't doing it. So I was raised by a single dad pretty much. So instead of having a conversation of, this is kind of what I'm hoping for. What are you hoping for, and how can we meet in the middle and save our relationship? Right? It doesn't. Like I said, none of this stuff is really that complicated. All right. So what else do we want to add? I guess under mindset. I guess they're educating themselves, so that's probably good. What about like their physical body? Do you think that this person is taking care of their body, going, not that you have to go to the gym, but you can do push-ups at home? But do you think this person is taking care of themselves physically, or making the drive through McDonald's?
Yeah, they might not be eating, you know, since they have low income.
Okay. And so do you think this person is concentrating more on like their nutrition and exercise?
They have like higher income, they be eating good and then they, you know. But I mean, they could also be, it could be both, you know.
Yeah, this person that really, because they want to live a long life and have like an impact on the world,
Yeah.
that they would, you know, because I'm not, like this person's not necessarily perfect, like steak salads every night and every day, and like fried chicken in the morning and never have ice cream. Like that's unreasonable. Okay, so in general, on this, do they have less options or more options in general? Okay, and then who do they have to be in order to do these things? Think they're resilient? What else? Be kind of the opposite of those, as a hint. So if they have confidence, what do you think they would be? Confident? Okay. What else? Assertive? You guys want to add anything else to the side at all? Does that make sense? I think it's a pretty good picture of this person. So when I guess an example, so I like, when you start thinking about other people first, it just changes everything. So, because not only what you want matters, that thing also has to want you. So if I was this person and a slave driver and paying my staff minimum wage, making them work 100 hours a week, not paying them overtime, not paying benefits or anything like that, then do you think that they would want to work for me? Probably not. So imagine, so I'm gonna paint a picture. So think of this guy, he's mid-20s, never went to college, never went to school, never educated himself beyond that. Not saying that you have to go to college, actually more towards trade school personally, but imagine this kid, he lives in his mom's basement, he has a beanbag chair, he has like 4 bags of Doritos and Cheetos next to him, and just stays up all night, sleeps all day, Stays up all night playing video games, doesn't take care of himself, bathes like once a week. So there's definitely a stench. His fingers are like stained orange from the Cheetos, from the Cheeto dust, right? So if you can picture this guy, probably not the like epitome of health, right? So, but what if he wants to marry this like Scandinavian princess that is philanthropic and amazing with kids? How do you think that would work out for him?
Good luck.
Right. So, because she probably is not in her castle dreaming about this kind of overweight, out of shape, like orange hand gamer dude, right? So when we think about things, it's not just what we want, it's that has won us as well. And so that's where I initially used this, because I, from after my divorce, I knew that I had to make myself a better person. So for my son, for my business, for my future relationships. So I kind of created a list of my goals. Like, what do I want in a woman? What do I want in my business? What do I want for myself, for my health? What kind of example do I want to set for my son? And so then I created this be to have of who I had to be. And so I have created who I am now. So I didn't grow up working out, going to the gym, anything like that. I do now, because I know that I have to in order to have the energy and to have, like, to look like I'm in shape and to be able to have really for mental stuff as well. Because if you're eating Cheetos all day, you probably don't have the greatest mental clarity. So like juicing, I meditate, like I meditated for 20 minutes this morning. Growing up, I would thought that like, must be a weirdo if they're meditating, right? But it's the most amazing thing, like just like calming our mind when there's so much out there, especially with social media, there's so many things that are poured into us, just information. And it's easier now than ever to get stupid thoughts out, or also amazing thoughts out. But judging from what I see on Facebook, it's probably not a lot of amazing thoughts. It's a lot of the stupid head talk. So just more choice words. So it's just changing your perspective a little bit. So not making this all that difficult. Because how many of you could, and this is what I actually did with my kids who are 9, 9, and 5. I had them write down, and I helped my 5-year-old, but I had them write out this in a journal, and I asked them, how are you feeling significant? How are you meeting this need right now? Is it a positive thing or is it a negative thing? So obviously I want them to have more positive ways, because it's a human need. So you're gonna find it one way or another. Because 1% of the world probably knows this, so everyone else is just acting from reaction. So I have them write down all of these, and how am I meeting this need right now? So could all of you get 6 pages of paper and write that down? Think about what you want to have in life, and what you have to do in order to have that, and who you have to be as a person to do those things to have that. Could all of you do that? Right?
Yeah.
Pretty simple, right? To have 6, so if you had 7 pages of paper, you can revolutionize your entire life with 7 pages of paper. So I have 1 page for each of these. How am I currently feeling significant? Is it a negative thing or a positive thing? And then compare those things with what you want to have, who you have to be, or what you have to do to have those things, and who you have to be to do those things to have those things. So you have your goals, and if it's to have lots of great relationships, but you're getting your significance by making fun of your friends, do you think that that lines up? No. So it's getting stuff out of our head on a paper, and we create a game plan. Like you can create, like who you are right now, doesn't mean that you have to be this person forever. If you love who you are, great. If you don't, you can change it. So like your current circumstances will not define where you go or who you are as a person. So like me being an introvert, thinking that I suck at public speaking, not saying that I'm good, but or like that I can't have an impact on people's lives. But I created a different person, and I acted that way, changed who I was being, changed what I was doing, and then changed what I had. So it's, in a lot of ways, really frustrating to me that a lot of this information is not out there for kids. I wish that I had this growing up, and I wish more so that I would have been a mindset to be open to hearing it and not feel like I was being told what to do, because I'm not telling you guys what to do. I'm giving you guys options, you wanna take the options, great, if not, then that's fine. But there's a study that was done, I think I heard it for the first time probably 10 years ago or so, but there was 150 people that this hospital was treating for heart issues. And out of those 150 people, it was so severe that if they did not stop smoking and drinking, that they would most likely be dead within a year. So like, pretty obvious what you have to do, right? And should have a fair amount of motivation to make that change. What percentage do you think of people in that group changed and stopped smoking and drinking? 10% changed. So does anybody, so if you want to be healthy, everybody knows, like, it's on the news, it's on social media, it's everywhere. Like, if you eat right and exercise, you'll be healthy, right? So has anybody been living underneath a rock and doesn't know that information? Right? But 2/3 of our society in America is overweight. They're obese. So knowledge is not power, applied knowledge is power. So you guys can know this stuff and repeat it all day long, but if you don't actually use it, it won't affect your life. So, and I mean, there's still things that are on my to-do list that I'm putting off for whatever stupid reason that I know will impact my life in a better way, but I'm choosing, for whatever reason, not to do it. So, maybe you guys are motivated, maybe you're not, but motivation from me speaking to you today, it will not last as long as you need it to, but neither does bathing. I recommend bathing every day. I recommend motivating yourself every day. Because how many times in the last month have you not had at least 2 meals a day? Or 3 meals a day? And a snack. Right? So we take care of our body, which can get us $300 a day in labor, but we don't take care of our mind, it could create millions of dollars and impact the world. So that's why I'm here. Motivate you guys, give you guys some tools. You guys can connect with me on Facebook. You search John Brokken. So I'm starting a podcast. I might be joining some other company. I would take care of the male side, so mentoring boys. She mentors the one who started 4 years ago, mentors women. So there's options out there, and then just look on YouTube for motivational speaker. Eric Thomas, E.T. the hip hop preacher, is a phenomenal man. He has got me through the hardest times of my life. I don't know him personally, I've met him once. I've got a picture with him, but he has a thing called Thank God It's Monday. And he did, I think, 17 seasons of it. But the idea is, instead of Thank God It's Friday, so like the school week, the work week is done, now we get to just party all weekend and sleep in and be lazy or whatever. The concept is Monday, I've got the opportunity to create whatever life I want this week, today, starting today, this week, and then through the weekend. So like my kids, and it's rampant. I think everybody thinks it's funny to be lazy, and I don't think it's funny. Like, I take time to myself. I think it's very important. But even my kids, like, they're in 4th grade. My older 2 are in 4th grade, and they were joking around like, I can't wait to sleep in this weekend, or like, you know, I only have, I think last week they had 2 short days. So they had 5 days of school, but 2 of them were short. And I'm like, that's awesome. I would look at it, especially on the weekend or a day off, like, I've got time to work on, because they all have their business ideas. So being my kids, they kind of natural for them, I guess. So like, I've got this opportunity. So like, don't think of an alarm clock, think of an opportunity clock. So what if you woke up 30 minutes earlier and meditated and calmed your mind and really tried to understand like why you are doing what you're doing. If you're not happy with where you're at, the worst thing you can do is keep doing it, right? You can change it if you want to. And again, if you're on a great path, then you can add some of these tools and just elevate even higher. So this is all I've got for you today. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed it. Hopefully maybe you think about things a little bit differently. Maybe give you some clarity, some certainty on why you're making the decisions that you're making in a positive way or negative way. Right? So any questions? Was it beneficial? Was it worth So I don't get paid to be here. I do this because I want to be here. Yeah.
Were you successful in school or no?
Thanks a drink.
I hate school. I absolutely hate school. I love education. Like I am absolutely addicted because it's several of these. I'm addicted to learning. It's like Mark Twain said, I will never let school get in the way of my education. But the thing that I wish that I knew, because I had like a C+ average in high school, and mainly because my dad killed me if I didn't get decent grades. But the thing that I wish that I would knew is that I wasn't necessarily just learning. I hate English, definitely hate English.
Me too.
Which is probably why I probably have some misspelled words up here. But the thing that I did not realize that school was teaching me how to learn. So I was learning how to learn because now I can go pick up a book, the book that I'm reading now, or the 80, 90 books I've read in the last 10 years. I can read them, I can comprehend them, I can digest them. I can pick up a book on search engine optimization, which there's tons of millionaires out there because they're good at that, and they're teenagers. Like you can go to the library, pick up a book on SEO, digest it, learn it, apply it.
Yeah.
So it's not about learning about nouns and pronouns and all that stuff. Like that's important. Like some of the foundational stuff is important, but you're learning how to learn.
Yeah.
And so I don't like being told what to do. That's why I'm probably my own boss. But yeah, I did not like school at all. I did well once I went to a 2-year school for architectural drafting. And at that, like I graduated third in my class. So I found something I actually care about. But English, no thanks. Like I'll get a C in that and I'll get an A in math and it'll kind of even out. So yeah, good question though. Any other questions? An interesting thing that blew my mind when I found out, again, reading the book, I have virtual assistants that live in like the Philippines, Bangladesh, India, across the world. Like I've got a guy who's gonna be running my podcast, and I think he's in Spain. But I can have people just doing data, like basic data entry stuff, working for $1 an hour in the Philippines, just because of what the currency exchange. So you could potentially have a full-time employee for $40 a week. So you go to the library, get a book on search engine optimization, so like keyword optimizing, learn it, teach someone how to do it, who they just copy and paste whatever pretty basic stuff. But I mean, you could be, like my kids that are 9, so you could be 10, like they could have a full-time employee. And once you learn how to work smarter, not harder, and start leveraging other people, like it's a game changer. So it's called Upwork. The website that I use, the most popular one is called Upwork. It's fascinating. So, any other questions? Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for paying
All right.
attention.
Thank you, John.
Your life's great.